Hold there, Violet. The Yorkie of the Shire stands before thee, asking, art thou friend or foe? If thou art friend, then join me now as we return to Golarion for more Wrath of the Righteous. If thou art foe, then disappear thee back to the World Wound. I shall deal with thee later. And if thou art the foe known as the dreaded Lurgy Demon that has inspired a sickness in me that has taken control and made it harder to produce videos right now, putting down the amount that I can offer our viewers, then thou hast brought my rage to Golarion. I shall deal with thee and thy enemies forthwith. Seriously, folks, I'm a little under the weather at the moment, so things are a little cut down here in Yorkie Town. Things will pick up to the regular 4 to 5 videos a day over time, but for now it's probably going to be about a couple. Right, we have an inconspicuous camp, we have armies to mop up, Heaven's Edge, and a hideout over here. See about this inconspicuous camp, for which we did find a note previously, guarded by Babao demons. Just a note, I am seriously thinking of retraining Black Agnes. Keep her as the Hellbound Witch, I'm fascinated by it. But rather than going the dragon route, combine that with a probably a rogue build. Anyway, for now, let us see who we have here, shall we? It is but a kobold! The aged kobold sitting by a campfire greets you with an amicable gesture. Unusual. He doesn't reach for his weapon or hiss threateningly. All in all, his behaviour is highly unusual. One of his kind. His clothes look quite unusual too. Not many kobolds opt for human clothing, nor do they adorn their possessions with spikes or scales. Greetings, my name is Krinook. I am here alone. So you may feel safe coming closer. He speaks smoothly without the usual kobold hissing. Moving slightly aside, the kobold points to the carcass of a small animal on a stick roasting over the fire. Dinner will be ready soon. Who art thou? As I've already mentioned, my name is Krinook. At your service, the kobold offers a short bow. An unusual gesture for one of his kind to make. As a rule, kobolds do not express their respect to anyone other than dragons. I am a traveller and a friend of the crusade. I can be your friend too if you are tolerant towards kobolds. Krinook utters the word tolerant with shocking ease, as if he is something other than narrow-minded and savage subterranean beast you expect him to be. Therein lies the problem with expectation. Kobolds are infamous for worshipping dragons and despising all other races, and few of them would even understand the concept of tolerance, let alone subscribe to it. Wait, what did you say, tolerant? Are you sure you're a kobold? Ah, so you saw through my disguise. Krinook tried to mislead you with sweet words and then ambushed you. The kobold utters a loud hiss, which then morphs into an amused cackle. Of course I'm a kobold. Trust me, you are not the first to be shocked after hearing me speak and realizing that I'm not going to rob or kill you. I'm lucky. Representatives of other races want to be seen as intellectuals or decent conversationalists. They have to read a lot of books, refine their manners, possess a passing knowledge of classical theatre, and douse themselves in fine perfume. Whereas in my case, all I have to do is not lunge at you with a spear or hiss every other word. What are you cooking? Judging by its ears and hind legs, it's a hare. The kobold casts a dubious glance at the animal's mouth, which boasts a set of huge teeth. Or maybe it's a tiger. Depends on your point of view, I suppose. What do you want from me? I want nothing from you. I'm asking for nothing. I'm simply offering help. I sympathise with your cause, so I would like to provide whatever support I can from time to time. Does that work for you? Kobold stops and looks at you expectantly. Thou art a fascinating beast. How exactly canst thou help me? With advice mostly. Throughout my life, I've seen a lot. And a piece of timely advice can be extremely valuable, don't thou agree? Of course, if the advisor is a kobold, the merits are not so obvious. You're in luck. This kobold right here has extensive knowledge of a variety of matters that may find useful someday. After some thought, he nods towards the campfire. One more thing I have to offer is this hair, after it's cooked. How does I know so much about demons? Does he? It gives you a long and heavy look. I've had some experience with them. I don't want to go into the details right now. All I'm saying is that after a rather short and not even hostile encounter with them, I stopped eating meat for several years. This I can believe. What's the catch? No catch. I'm acting for wholly altruistic reasons. But my motives are something I would rather not reveal. Interesting. Chinook turns his face to you, and his wrinkles become more visible in the glow of the fire. We just met 5 minutes ago. Don't you think it's too early to expect complete candor yet? Yes, I can agree with that. That's obviously intelligent, not just for their species. As I have already told thee, I am a friend of the Crusade. Can choose to trust me, I can leave. I offer help and ask for nothing in return, so the question is simple. Will I accept the claw of friendship from a stranger? Or is your distrust stronger than your need for help? Thank you. We would appreciate any help that can give. Chinook nods agreeably. Then we have a deal. You won't regret your decision. Just drop by my camp every now and then, so we can have a word. Perhaps I'll be able to give you some useful tips. Pulling out a small knife, the traveller carefully cuts 2 strips of meat from the roasted hare. He throws one into the toothy maw, while graciously offering the other to you. Strange animal for sure, but it seems edible. The energies of the world wound mask everything in illusion. Harmless-looking animals try to eat you for dinner. Dangerous paths appear to be straight roads. Sometimes your enemies can look like their friends. Yes, we have encountered this issue. Chinook squints and looks deeply into your eyes. Has there ever been in a situation like this? Most recently, yes. First, thou thinks that the person is a friend, an ally, and then the scales fall from your eyes and you realise they are actually your sworn enemy. So you catch this person, you tie them up, and then you start thinking. How should you treat them? Like your enemy? Like your former friend? It's hard to decide. What wouldst thou do if thy friends turned out to be a traitor? I would torture the traitor for days and make them beg for mercy. Kobold scoffs with disdain. How uncivilized. Fine, let's assume you quench your thirst for revenge. Will it serve any purpose at all? It will make me feel better. It seems to me that the only benefit you will get from this decision is the satisfaction of sadistic inclinations. My point exactly. Something in Chinook's voice sounds merciless like cold steel. They'll catch a traitor, grab them, and shake them till they spill everything they know. Some need to be tortured, those will crack if you threaten their family, or bribe them with promises of mercy and gold. Wring the traitor dry like a rag mop, and think about war, not about ethics. At least that's what smart people write in books. The fervour fades from the kobold's voice, but subtle glints still flicker in his eyes. I guess you're right. What matters most is doing what's best for the cause. Kobold shakes his head, pretending not to care. Maybe I am right, maybe I am wrong. I was just sharing my opinion. Then again, we're discussing traitors. It's fortunate that betrayal is not reserved for mortals alone. Demons also stab each other in the back more frequently. The rumour is that there are at least 2 demon stashes within Daeran, filled with arms and supplies that were stolen by Descarites from Baphomets, and vice versa. One of them is near the entrance to the fortress, while another lies by the entrance to the citadel. Where did I learn that? Gossip, hearsay. The world is an ocean of chatter, and I'm quite skilled fisherman. That is valuable information. Of course it is, I wouldn't waste your time. Cracking his knuckles, Chinook gives you an inquisitive look. I hope that when the time comes for you to make a real decision instead of hypothetical ones, thy wisdom won't fail thee. This one bad choice concerned a revered leader into disgrace prior. I've seen it happen before. I've lived through something like that. My tribe suffered disaster caused by just one bad choice. Can thou imagine? Kobold squints sadly, his eyes slumping a bit. With a sigh, he begins to talk. Well, given that we were nearly destroyed by the betrayal of one person, yes, I can imagine. I don't like telling this story, but it might be useful to you know it. Perhaps it will serve as a warning. Please tell. Pinnock clears his throat and starts talking in a sonorous voice that reveals his experience as a bard. I was born into a mighty and proud tribe of the Night Ruby. Our caves were vast and our mineshafts were rich in quartz and metals, and our underground lakes were brimming with fish. And of course we had plenty of slaves. The Night Ruby was a model of kobold success. It was a tight-knit, greedy and aggressive tribe that intimidated even a few of the nearby human settlements. But there was a flaw underlying our power. Once, long ago, a leader of the tribe signed a pact with the devils, promising them the soul of every tribe member in exchange for help and prosperity. Since then, every new All Watcher had to agree to the pact, and the power of the tribe grew, as did the number of lost souls. It was like that until our leader, Ermac, came to power. She was a principled and proud elder who did not want to bend the knee to hell. So she refused to sign the pact, and all kinds of calamities befell our tribe. The tribe was attacked by its neighbours at the devil's instigation. Epidemics broke out, and our slaves rebelled. They came after their former masters in the dead of night. Our clutches of eggs were ravaged, our altars were desecrated, and our warriors were slain in their burrows. The slaves paid us in full for our cruelty and arrogance. They hunted us, chasing us down throughout the caves and mineshafts level by level, until we were finally left alone. We had no idea where we were. All we saw around us was darkness, and lurking in that darkness were bloodthirsty and dangerous predators. After raising his voice dramatically, Crinnock stops suddenly. Then he adds with a teasing smile, I think this moment is enough of a cliffhanger to stop here. Ah, thou art but a tease. I may have my suspicions about him, but I shall not say. I'd like to know more about you. I'm flattered. But what's so special about me? I've never accomplished any feats on the battlefield. I don't know any special crafts, and I don't even belong to an exotic species. I don't have the slightest idea what you'd find so interesting about me. Remind me who you are. As I've already mentioned, my name is Crinnock, at your service. The kobold offers a short bow and an unusual gesture for one of his kind. The real kobolds do not express respect. Yes, we know that. What dost thou do? I'm a travelling bard. I can already foresee your next question. How does a bard, who also happens to be a kobold, manage to earn a living? All the civilized races of Avistan know that when you encounter a kobold, best course of action is to smash its skull, trample it with the horse, and burn the remains just in case. Well, the prejudice that civilized peoples have against my kind is quite understandable. Our infamy as robbers and murderers is more than deserved. So just imagine the spectacle in any tavern when an articulate kobold in decent clothes shows up, offering to share a story or two for a few coins and a mug of ale. I assure you, no matter how big of a deal you are here, if we drop by any tavern in Underon, all eyes will be on me. I am an exotic oddity. Fair point. Why did you decide to come to the Whirlwind? I just don't like it when the residents of the lower planes get involved in the lives of mortals. I firmly believe that we don't need any advisors to help us handle our own affairs. We need overlords even less. You're different from other kobolds. So you are... Yes, we know. My life has given me many opportunities to communicate with beings from other races, so I found a common language with them. No more questions. Question about demons. You mentioned you know a lot about them. My humble knowledge, I suppose. Do you know anything about wounds inflicted by demons that appear, then disappear, and later appear again? No need to resort to platitudes such as the weirdest tricks can be expected from demons, or I can just skip that part. I've never heard anything like you're describing, but new sorts of nasty stuff appear in the world wound every day. However, if we think about it some more, don't you think that this wound doesn't cause enough trouble to be something the demons did to you on purpose? When you're hit by the magic of the abyss, you know instantly that death is coming your way and fast. Perhaps. I think I have to go at this point. Your travel stories can remain for you. But the tale you told of the cache could prove useful. Lost some levels.
To rob them of their treasures.
Ash giant. Will not allow a fight there. Interesting. Another random excursion.
I see blood! Blood!
Hold on, just a little more. Forgive me.
Injuries, perhaps, but nothing we can't deal with. 20 death knights is a significant increase, I must say. Good.
Defeat is not an option. Let's claim that. And then use some minor restoration. Under 5,000 left, by the way, the next level. Yet another fight. I got this.
Ghouls, for the most part. In fact, for the entire part. Well now.
All I see is blood.
I'm gonna try this again. I shall not falter.
Well,
How could this
let's load the last save shell. That was rather surprising. I got a little cocky there. I don't think we need to do much preparation. But a little. Turn-based
Time
mode
to
may
rob
be in
them
order.
of their treasures.
You can have that.
Yes.
Why do you not have your... You do, 6 to 9. Bull Stalker coming in. Robin. No. I'm sorry, you.
Don't hold back.
A bad miss, no doubt.
Slice! Behead!
And Screech puts him down. Robin, you have nothing left there, so put that on instead.
I got this. Go.
And that was bad. Another Ghoul Creeper. And a Ghoul Stalker. What level are these? Level 5 all. Toad? Give that to them.
Venimosi travisi.
Cover me!
Let's hear you cry.
Strike!
Oh, you're immune to Sandstone Blast, huh?
May I see your entrails, please?
There's another down.
Damn you!
Horse is down. Blessing.
Stab their
Agnes.
backs.
You're down, good.
Run them through!
Clouded Sky. Since they're immune to Sandstorm Blast, let's take it
You
off there.
should have run. Let the attack commence!
Are you still here? Go! Do not hold back.
And there we are. Much easier.
Move out.
It was not a difficult fight, I'm sure we can agree. Just one that needed control.
Defeat is not an option.
This is merely spiders. The one thing I do want to use is this.
This is my chance to run!
Oh, there's an ash giant there too. Switch back to this. Where is it? Switch back to this. And you can try a fear.
My wounds pile on. This is not the end.
Well, since we have cleared out the points we can from the enemies scattered, I think perhaps it might be time to return to the camp. Oh. Oh, that's not good.
We will prevail.
You need to switch back to that.
You feel that?
Well, we almost survived. Apparently you got killed. We have the spells we need to deal with it. Well, let's bring those forward. Another 18 Death Knights. Quite significant. The footmen not so much so, but it's good to have. Let us rest here. We'll make it back to camp to rest again. We'll rest there to begin with. But now, with everyone at death's door, I wish to evade them. Into the camp. And so we shall sell our equipment. That's the waste equipment, I mean. My reasoning for thinking that I may retrain Black Agnes. I'm mixing too many things. The Hagbound Witch is essentially built as a strength build, but doesn't use armor, etc., so to my mind is better built as relying on her dexterity. But that means it pays to bring in sneak attacks, which is a rogue speciality. Alternatively, Alchemist could do. I will think about that off screen. Oh, that was not what I intended. I meant to copy it to the spellbook.
haven't made a confession for a long time. Of course, we have different goddesses, but still. Could you listen to my confession?
Of course. Let's go somewhere we won't be overheard.
Well, that's a mere 3, but there is, and we need 25-30 to get the priests. That's over a week to get the priests. At which point we have everything else as well. Which means it makes little point to wait on hiring priests before we move on. We have other things to do.
Stand with me.
We know what is needed here. Enormous spiders are no threat, except they have a poison. Ah yes, I cannot pass that to the fort. It says move forward and take these out. Then you die for nothing. A simple fight. The cultists protected their caravan of valuable supplies to the death. But the Crusaders prevailed. It seems the demon worshippers plundered the treasure from nearby Sarkorian ruins. All those treasures come to us. Ah, yes. Sold for Daeran. To help Leota with his investigation.
Head on!
My not so numerous, but nonetheless dearest guests. About a year ago at my last birthday party, I assured you all that I nurtured a deep-seated hatred for boring people who give protracted speeches in the misplaced belief that their inner thoughts are of any interest to anyone but themselves. Now I am a whole year older and also a full-fledged crusader, an honorable position that requires me to be as dull, pedantic, and vexing as I possibly can. Therefore, a speech it is. The revered cleric Nestrin, my guardian and tutor, often told me that those who live a sinful life may expect to join the abyssal hordes after they die. This is why their path is the most despicable of all. A part of their soul may return to Mendev in the abominable form of a demonic invader. Every time we see a demon, we might as well think about it. What if this wretched creature used to be your great-great-grandfather?
Entirely
What if
possible.
certain parts of this pointy-tailed beauty used to belong to your pious cousin?
Quite possible.
They say that the demons represent the sins of the souls they are made of. Succubi emerge out of lustful souls. Vandals turn into Abracandilu. Gluttons become Nabasu. I, for one, am determined to commit as many different sins as possible, so that the distributive mechanism of the abyss breaks when it tries to decide what to do with my soul.
That's an interesting theory.
You, my dearest guests, will be my assistants in this complicated task. Eat, drink, and indulge yourselves in whatever vices you can. Let nobody leave this house as righteous as they entered it. Live every day like it's your last. After all, nobody knows when that day will arrive, do they?
All more poignant in the current situation, one would say. How interesting, Inquisitor Leota whispers in your ear from behind. What do we need to do, Inquisitor? Now that's the hardest part. I need to dive deep into the past of this place. It requires casting several different spells over some time. It would be very convenient for me if nobody interrupted the process, especially the Count himself. I don't think he remembers my face, but a suspicious stranger casting unknown spells might attract his attention. All in all, what I want you to do is distract the master of the house. Right now, he is playing host in the very place I'd like to start with. Understand. Good luck. Come back to me when the Count leaves. I will tell you everything I managed to find out, and maybe even show you something. We have loot. Might as well take it. And then a word in your shell like Daeran, my friend. Daeran, who has been watching the guests with an unreadable expression, turns his head to you and says in a casual tone, like he's continuing a conversation that was interrupted, I've considered myself an aesthete, not a hero. When doomsday comes, I thought, I'd pour myself a glass of 100-year-old wine, sit in the front row and just watch the world burn. Playing the violin was also an option. Alright, Nero. Now, I'll be damned if I know how I ended up in the 5th Crusade. How did I become a companion of a hero chosen by Amede? Sometimes the most casual occurrences dictate our fate's course. I'm afraid that is not always the case. Sometimes it's dictated by alien but wholly deliberate forces. Tell me more of Heaven's Edge. This estate was once a truly beautiful sight with its lush gardens and placid ponds. Daeran smiled briefly. It's a genuine smile. Quite different from his usual half-smirk. The house itself is not that large, however. The land was part of the border region even before the world wound, so my ancestors took that into account when laying the foundations. The larger the mansion, the harder it is to defend. I'd gladly give you a tour, but I'm afraid there's not much to see here. I didn't have much time, so my servants only managed to clean up this yard, a great hall and a couple of rooms. There's nothing interesting about them, except perhaps the magical firefighting system, powered by water elementals. I'm not sure it's still functional, though. Spill wine on Daeran's shirts. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Did you also not mean to ruin a suit that cost more than a thoroughbred? Don't fret, I have a spare. Just you wait. When I return, I shall look even more stunning. There you are. Decorative plants and in miserable states. Been neglected for many years. I see that you did your part, Commander, thank you. Now get ready to watch and listen closely. I'll unravel the past of this place and try to show you whatever I find. The hum of voices, laughter and music fills your mind. Then the visitors come, fragmented and hazy at first, before eventually coalescing to reveal a single face. It is a woman of stunning heavenly beauty, and her delicate features instantly tell you who she is. The family resemblance to Daeran is obvious. My dear guests, the Lady of Heaven's Edge welcomes all of you today. I hope this day is as bright for you as it has been for me, because on this day my only precious, sometimes arrogant, but utterly beloved child was born. A child is naturally a reflection of their parents and caretakers. Countess, will you allow the humble tutor, this young man, to address the guests, and the man of the hour as well? A new face appears. It is a handsome old man with a strong, dignified posture, and a voice that emanates power. Can't we have just one day without your servants? It is my birthday, after all. 10 years ago, the young Daeran had an utterly angelic appearance. Table manners and expression lacked the dignity of a true angel, however. Hey, I'm sure the Reverend Nestrin only wants to hug you and offer you his best wishes on your birthday. Wait, what's that noise? The shrill laughter rings in your ears and reverberates in the base of your skull. In the vision, a Lilith appears before the guests of the estate and gives them an exaggerated, scornful bow. The sorceress of evil has come to your celebration, mortals. You prepared a treat for me too? What do you want, spawn of the abyss? I've already done everything I wanted. Hey, you doddering old cleric, look around. Don't you notice anything odd? The plague is in your wine, in your food, in the air around you, in your blood. Soon you will all die. Pray to your pathetic goddess, and call upon your healing powers if you want, but they're not going to help you. Nothing will help you. I'll give you a chance to see it for yourselves, and when I return, the grave realization will have already sunk its teeth into your throats. Oh, how I love watching mortals in their final desperate hours. Demon finishes her speech with an air kiss to Daeran, making him freeze in horror, and disappears. The otter shakes his head and slowly exhales, rubbing his temples. First appearance of the disease in the Lilitu, one of many sisters, the accursed Minago. So far, everything I've seen matches the official version of events. Who were the people? Countess Selena Erende was Daeran's mother, and one of the most beautiful women in the history of Mendev. She was Nasimar, like her son. The old man is an esteemed cleric, Nestrin, our Count's guardian and tutor, who is well known for his unfaltering faith and iron will. I was only passing acquaintances with him, so I can't tell you anything more than that. I didn't recognize the others, but Daeran told me that the first victims of the disease, his second cousin and cousin's wife, hailing from eastern border. Surely the cleric could have done something. I can't say for certain, but I believe there was nothing he could have done. Magical diseases are already difficult enough to cure, and this plague struck very fast indeed. Now we must find out what has happened. What now? I can sense the aftershocks of a very strong outburst of emotions and memories somewhere in the west wing of the house. Something must have happened in one of the rooms, so please check if anyone else is in there and distract them if need be. Alright. Let's head inside. I see more bottles we can take. See if there is anything through here.
I lead. You follow.
Sealed door. Sealed. It's just outside. And this is blocked off. But there is something there, at least. Some elemental essences.
Onwards.
That's two outside. Oh, Wolgeface here. How did he get here? He wasn't invited. But it really matters. The door is sealed and looks like it hasn't been opened for a very long time. We have a quick scan of those books. Then a quick chat with Daeran. Daeran arches a brow at you, but he doesn't seem to be disturbed in the slightest by your entrance. He's not trying to cover up or get dressed any faster. Commander, I assume you have an urgent matter that requires my attention. What is this room? Daeran casts a look around the room as if he'd never seen it before, then shrugs carelessly. Just a random room. I told my servant to make some rooms ready. This is one of the rooms they chose. I am absolutely confident that you would be unable to persuade Sozil to draw a portrait of you. A nude portrait, that is. Challenge the artist. Sounds like a fine idea. A cleric will surely turn down a direct request, but if I tell him that we can sell the portrait at a charity auction... Why, have I never thought of selling my nude portraits at charity auction? It will cause a huge scandal, but it would also be for a good cause. Gave those godbotherers something to complain about. Give me a brilliant idea. Then hop to it. Why did you get dressed to persuade someone to do a new portrait? You were already almost there. The Otter? You see that you were able to do as I asked. Prepare yourself. The vision might be rather difficult to watch. Young Daeran stands motionless by the Countess's bed. His face is pale with fear, and for good reason. His mother's heavenly beauty is gone. Her smile, once beaming with vitality and happiness, looks more like the grimace of a corpse. Only her golden hair still glows, a sad reminder of the healthy young woman she was just a few hours ago. Mother, can you hear me, Mother? Countess Selene Day. Day, my boy. How did you get here? The Countess's voice is fading. Don't come any closer. This disease. Mother, listen, the Reverend Nestrin has sealed the gates. He says that he won't let anyone leave the estate. If the plague reaches the larger settlements, nobody will be able to stop it. He claims this is why the demons attacked us in the first place. They knew that we would call upon the strongest clerics to heal us, and those clerics would catch the disease and die as well. The Fat Baron and his family tried to escape, but 3 armed paladins barred their way and said they would not let them go. Mother, we need help. Canabris is full of clerics, wizards, and demons knows who else. They might know how to help us. We need to get there as soon as possible. We must obey the Reverend Nestrin. We are the Lords of Mendev and we must protect our people. If the plague it reaches Canabres, thousands of innocent people will die. I don't care about any innocence. Daeran's voice raises to a shout. You're ill, Mother. You're dying. You must tell them to open the gates and take you to Canabres. They won't listen to me, but you are the lady of the estate. They can't refuse you. I can't. I must. Please leave, my dearest. Don't lose hope. You can still... A convulsion overtakes the Countess's body. Her last words are swallowed by a long guttural groan. The otter wearily rubs his temples, but his face is unreadable. Now I have an answer to one of my many questions. Nobody went to Canabres in search of help because the Reverend Nestrin didn't let them. He valued the safety of the city more than the lives of his flock at the estate. What a difficult choice it must have been. They really know the choice? Who can say now? They could have sent one of the paladins to bring help from Canabres, assuming that the Knight of God was immune to the disease. Perhaps Nestrin thought he might need them to maintain order, or maybe he understood that the demons would not allow anyone to leave anyway. Or maybe the plague was so strong that it could mow down even the most righteous warriors. We'll never know if any of those hypotheses are true. Leotta rubs his chin thoughtfully. I have never been in the Reverend Nestrin's position, but I know the price of difficult decisions, especially those that have to be made quickly. I have no right to judge him, but we must continue our investigation. The next site I'd like to examine is the Great Hall. That is where we found the remains of Nestrin and the demons. I assume that he killed them in a confrontation, but we must make sure of that. Please help me clear the area so I can study it. Right. Actually, I just heard a ping. I thought I did, but I don't know where. Nothing there. There's something... Look at there. Nothing important. Ah, there we go. Stop trying to talk me into this. You have neither heart nor conscience, Daeran. Even the noble idea of charity becomes a farce when you touch it. I don't think those so-called innocents will suffer from knowing that their money and medicine came from my sinful silhouette. No luck then, Daeran. There is a feverish gleam to Daeran's eyes, owing to either tipsiness or some overabundance of emotion. Oh, there's a Yoki. That rotter Sorziel refused to sketch me in the nude for charity, but it didn't upset me too much. The faces he made while I was explaining the idea to him were well worth it. He looked very much like a pious matron being confronted with a talking male organ, one that was 2 foot long and being held aloft by a pair of golden angel wings. How are you enjoying my party? Are you having a good time? I'm having the time of my life. At least someone here is having fun. Fine, let's change the subject. I thought the unique ambience of a Heaven's Edge and the fact that we're on the very border of the world wound would make this celebration special. I thought the past would resurface and make itself known. Daeran smirks bitterly. Well, it seems even ghosts don't wish to attend my parties anymore. What can we do to liven the evening up? What do I think? How about a drinking contest? Ah yes, my tried and trusted method for salvaging a dull party. Salvaging anything, really. I'm ready. Who's my competition? I am. And is this the commander himself, the hero of Canabres, a chosen one, challenging me to a drinking contest? I'm in. Let's drink until one of us falls unconscious or begs for mercy. That was just a little warm-up. For more, let's continue. Whoa, are we done, or are you ready for another round? Let's continue. My grandfather, or maybe my great-great-grandmother, poured this bottle into the family cellar. So why did it fail the scion of illustrious Aaron days? In his time of need? Daeran looks a bit unsteady on his feet. I don't feel very well. Hey everyone, let's go back outside. I need some fresh air in my lungs. There we have it. You are again, Commander. Leota looks grim but focused. So let us take another glimpse into the past. A ripple of laughter flows through the hall. It begins a sweet, charming chuckle, but then turns into a rasping cackle. Makes Daeran huddle even deeper into his corner. The ghost Daeran, I mean. Why are you running from me, my sweet prince? Come here. Let me touch you. I'll give you... Booming voice of an old man dressed in Aeomedean's robes shakes the walls of the hall. Get away from him, demon. Let the boy go. By the blade of the inheritor, you touch him, only of my dead body. You are pathetic, old cleric. Are you the guardian of this charming little prince? Well, you guarded him in vain. The disease is already circulating in his blood, and soon he will rot before your very eyes. You won't be able to help him, and I can at least make sure his death is beautiful, clean, and sweet. The demoness turns her eyes to face Daeran and licks her lips. A coarse laugh escapes the young man's throat. We'll see about that. The otter turns towards you in astonishment, droplets of sweat glistening on his temples. Something is wrong, Commander. My spells are not working as expected. It's as if some kind of supernatural explosion occurred here 10 years ago, blending everything together, the magical auras, the emotions, the memories. I'll try it again. Please continue. Just give me a moment to focus. I will try to channel my visions and feelings to you as accurately as possible. Daeran, my boy, what is going on? The otter's muscular shoulders begin to shake. The vision he's channeling does not change, but you feel something enormous and chilling silently infiltrate the reality around you. The presence of this nameless being becomes almost palpable. The chameleon entity is talking to him. Hurry, old cleric. Stop him right now. You really want to see what happens when... Save me. Can you save me? The presence thickens into something more tangible. The entity is silent, but you feel your blood pulsing in your temples, and each beat brings a new image, or rather a new notion. Help brings a feeling of relief and safety. Exchange makes a pulse stronger, more demanding. Gate and secret come immediately after. The images become heavier, almost visible. Secret, keep the secret, otherwise death. Death, death, death. The gruesome images swirl through your mind, filling it with pain and fear. Then it all starts again. Help, exchange, secret, death. Nestrin stretches out his hand, suddenly looking into like a doddering old man, instead of a mighty cleric imbued with holy power. Daeran, wait, the thing you're about to let loose is even worse than these demons. Daeran's body is quivering like a taut bowstring. His eyes dart from the cleric to the demoness, who's frantically casting protective spells. Demons, saints, I'm so fed up with all of you. Burn! The otter? The otter opens his eyes with a groan, then gets back on his feet. His legs are wobbly, his eyebrow is cut. But he seems not to notice. Sincere sorrow is written on his face. Still, there's a strong hint of horror. What a misfortune. No, what is disaster? Everything is far worse than I imagined. Are you alright? The strain, the emotions, they overwhelmed me and made me faint like an agitated youngster. It is nothing really. I will not be able to cast any spell for the rest of the day. Aside from that, I'm fine. You understand now what happened 10 years ago? The Inquisitor slowly exhales through clenched teeth and says in a low voice, still massaging his temples, yes and no. Damn it, my thoughts are astray. I'll try to explain everything to you in full detail. Many living things are incapable of performing the most extraordinary feats, or are capable, good or bad, when a deadly threat looms over them. 10 years ago, the young Count found himself cornered in every sense of the word, and he allowed some alien identity to intercede for him. It frightens me that all my experience as an Inquisitor is completely useless in this case. It does not resemble anything I've heard or read about. The entity, I think I will call it the Other, possesses uncanny power. It was capable of instantly killing 3 greater demons, a mighty cleric, and a host of other mortals. You saw everything yourself. What's even worse is that this entity, this Other, it is still here. The Otter takes a long pause. His gaze is drawn to the chamber, where all the guests are laughing and dancing. Daeran's eloquent voice rises above the music. For a moment he's asking someone to bring more wine and add more logs to the fire. I don't know what exactly this creature is, but I know what it did to the Count. It turned him into a living gateway. The Other is not inside the Count's body. It is not directly controlling his mind. That's why there are no obvious signs of possession. But it is looking through his eyes. It treats him like a window into the world, and it can instantly step through it to wreak whatever havoc it desires. Does Daeran know about this? Yes, of course he does. Did he hear what the Other tried to convey to us? Help in exchange for a secret. Death. Death to those who know the truth. It wants to have an opportunity to use the Count as a gateway, without anyone knowing. This is what made Daeran deny that he remembered anything about the conclusion of the event at Heaven's Edge. What might the Other want? This is the strange thing about it all. It came to this world 10 years ago and it's still here, right? All this time it has been watching us through the eyes of the Count. Had it, for instance, wanted to kill Her Majesty the Queen, it would have had plenty of opportunities to do so. The Count can get close to practically every influential figure in Mendev, but the Other refuses to act, or its interests lie in some other sphere. Did the Other kill everyone then? The disease was not to blame. Not everyone, just Nestor and his paladins and a few remaining guests. Damn it. I know that it was the work of a mysterious omnipotent entity, but it still stings. I was here 10 years ago and I didn't check everything personally. And those who did failed to sense there was something so wrong. Could the Other be the reason my companions kept finding severed heads among their belongings back in Canabres? It seems very likely. I'm almost certain you are right. People tend to lose their heads when they get too close to Count Arenday anyway. I do apologise, that was inappropriate. Perhaps your gruesome findings are the heads of some cultists who tried to kidnap the Count during the Canabres slaughter. Or perhaps they provoked the Other in some other way. We have to do something. Yes, now I understand Father Nestor perfectly. I must make a crucial decision despite a dearth of information. The Inquisitor falls silent for a moment. Then he looks you right in the eye. Commander, first and foremost, I must apologize to you. Second, I must ask you to keep this secret. Why? As soon as the Count finds out that we know his secret, the Other will understand it as well. We do not know what it is, and what exactly the scope of its powers. We do know that it would dispose of anyone who might reveal its existence. I've made a decision, the Otter says gravely. I will not tell anyone about the discovery we've just made, not even the Queen or my superiors. Instead, I will go immediately to Nerosian and sift through all the archives of the Inquisition in order to find out what exactly we are dealing with and how it can possibly be defeated. I may also make some cautious inquiries into other places, including Absalom. Still, I will not reveal the truth until I have found out at least some reliable information. I'm asking you to do the same. Specifically, do not say a word about our investigation of the Count himself. Do you want me to lead the crusade while carrying a bomb that may explode at any moment? I'm afraid that you won't be able to hide from the consequences when this bomb does explode. It's up to you to decide, though. What are you going to do with Daeran himself? Right now, I'm a lot more concerned about the Other, but when we find a way to get rid of this entity, the Count will have to stand trial. Many things about this case are unclear, including the extent of his guilt. Did he call upon the Other by himself, or did he simply answer its call? Would he refuse its offer, or would it have led to his immediate death? Every detail is important, and every testimony needs solid proof. That is the difference between righteous justice and blind vengeance. Fine, I will keep the secrets. Made the right choice. I recommend that you go back to the guests and spend the rest of the evening as you please. Anything else might raise suspicion. I must leave immediately in search for the knowledge we all need so desperately. Farewell, Commander. In the light of Riamade, guide your path. Leota Hawkblade will try to keep your path to triumph clear of any wanton guests. Well then. It's time to leave. And return to camp. We can get them. Good. And meanwhile, we may as well wipe out the enemies here. The dretch hitched to the overloaded carriages had no chance of escaping, and the masters preferred death over giving up their cargo without a fight. Their wagons were full of treasures, plundered in the chaos of battle. Nabes. I think we will end there for today. Next time we will come back and continue. If you wish to help the channel grow, then hit the like, subscribe and comment and I shall respond. For now, fare thee well.